Okay, I would like to comment a few arguments made by Neves, which I find very important, regarding the relationship at the horizontal level between the European Banking Union and the existing European financial supervision system, particularly the potential tension which could arise between the ECB and the European banking authorities in the supervision of banks and the rulemaking of banks according to what banks should do. So there is a certain tension which Neves seems to be cautiously optimistic that there will be a kind of convergence in behavior. Now, another important point which she makes in her work is that the relationship between the European authorities under the banking union and the European financial supervision system, particularly the EBA and ESAs, with respect to member states, may be in one case more hierarchical and in the other case more decentralized, in the sense that member competent authorities would have more influence on what ESAs are doing in the activities of the supervision of the banks. What she actually but also presents as an interesting hypothesis, that the banking union may exert some pressure vis-à-vis the ESAs to be more efficient and faster in their decision-making process, because of course there is more competition, and there is another authority which potentially also engages in rulemaking and supervision. What then she embarks very importantly on the entire accountability aspect in the two areas, where in the areas of the European supervision authorities, there are already kind of mechanisms of holding, of making accountability possible by having stakeholders included, by having consultations, by allowing for an appeal mechanism and judicial review. In the case of the ECB and in the context of the banking union, the European Parliament has been quite successful in establishing a role for itself in the kind of constitution of the supervisory board of the ECB, by allowing for more access to information by the Parliament to the data and the information of the ECB, and by introducing the so-called monetary dialogue, where the EP seeks to hold the ECB accountable for in its activities. Whether that will work out, we'll see. It's too early to tell. However, Neves also points out an important point, saying that there may be a certain tension between accountability on the one hand, which is fair to claim, and the independence of the ECB on the other hand, which it should of course be also independent in conducting, in operating its operations. So the question is, to what on this small narrow path, how will that work out so that independence is not jeopardized, whereas accountability at the same time is also guaranteed. Now, maybe just two points to the important arguments made by Hans Micklitz, where he points out that there are interesting comparisons to be made between the internal market and the banking union, and points out that the political mechanisms in establishing the internal market, as long as it went through harmonization, was quite similar to the banking union, whereas kind of internal market creation was relied upon on mutual recognition, that there it would be much more of a decentralized process as compared to the banking union. Altogether, he kind of sees a strong development through the establishing of the banking union, that there is a tendency of depoliticization, also delegalization of decision-making processes, meaning that there are many rules in the new rule book, in which is not publicly, and the internal rules which are not publicly accessible, that in a way these rules can't be held accountable through law and in front of courts anymore. That's it.